Hey guys, welcome back to the Fandom Minutes. I'm Mike.
And I'm Matt.
And today we have a very special video.
Oh yeah.
Today we're talking about something that has been a long time coming, something that's very near and dear to my heart,
3 years.
and something that I have been looking forward to for so long. And that is the Snyder cut of Justice League.
Yep.
Real quick before we get into it, we do want to let you know there will be spoilers in this. We are going to talk about the movie because there's no way to do a very good review of this
without
than
comparing.
to compare it and talk about what happened.
Yeah.
That being said, I honestly, my humble opinion on it, I give it a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
And I say that because they did everything that was in his vision to begin with.
Yeah.
And then some. What did you think about it?
So starting off, I was going to give it a 9 out of 10. I was still, maybe it's because we've had Avengers and I had that to compare to. I think maybe if I didn't have the Avengers to compare it to, it would get a 10.
So on the subject of that, let me talk about why I like this movie more so than the Avengers.
Wow, really?
So the reason that I say that is because, I actually listened to a TikTok earlier where a guy explained it, and his explanation of it was so perfect that you just can't not agree. Well, I couldn't not agree.
Okay, let's hear it.
So what he said was the Avengers are amazing, okay?
Yeah.
The movies have been set up to make you believe that you could be those characters. That you could be Iron Man or Superman or Thor or Captain America or any of them.
Yeah.
Which is cool, and that's every kid's dream to be a superhero. That's my dream to be a superhero. But
Same.
DC turns those characters into gods, which is what superheroes were meant to be basically in the comics. Like they were
the next level of humanity.
Yeah. Even Batman in these movies, or in this movie, is made to be godlike. And it adds extra stakes to the story, I feel like. Yeah. Because it's not just like, I could do that. It's, holy shit, look what he just did. And a good point for that is the Amazons.
Yeah.
That they did so much for the Amazons in this movie.
Yeah.
That
really
made
bumped
them
them up.
look awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
I
was impressed with it.
Be what they were meant to be.
Yeah.
What they are in the comics. And so for me, I've
got a comment on that in a second.
They followed the way that the stories should have been, the way the characters should have been, to a T, to the point where rather than wanting to be these characters, it made you look up to these characters.
I could see that.
What were you saying?
So on the Amazons, that was one of the first things I noticed in the movie. Well, second thing I noticed. But I noticed in the original cut of Justice League, because I watched them back to back. So I watched, of the last 3 days, the first day I watched the original Justice League, and then I watched the first half and the second half. So we split it up. Anyway, so I noticed that in the Hollywood cut of Justice League, the Amazonians, whenever the box broke and all the aliens came out, didn't stand a chance. They were completely mauled over, like nothing. All their arrows were bouncing. Like I felt like they were just. I was like
they were cannon fodder.
Yeah, they looked pathetic. Mm-hmm. And in the Snyder cut, when the aliens first came out, and what's his name?
Steppenwolf.
Whenever Steppenwolf first,
who, by the way, looked amazing in this cut.
A lot better. Whenever Steppenwolf appeared, right, with his aliens, they fought back. And they fought hard, and it was a lot more epic. And even the Queen got into the fight. And I thought, that is Amazonians. That's better. And talking about Steppenwolf, the first thing I noticed before we move on, first thing out of my mouth was, is his armor spikier? And my dad's like, I think it's the same. I'm like, no, his armor is spikier.
Did you notice his armor was almost sentient.
Yeah.
It moved. He got peppered with arrows, and he basically flexed it, and the armor closed and snapped the arrows off.
Yep.
Also in this cut, he looks a lot less Liam Neeson like.
I noticed that.
More
alien-like?
Alien and badass looking.
I noticed that too. I was like, that's got to be Liam Neeson because you could just see his face in the alien, and I thought that was a little bit much.
So another point to the Amazons, and it was one of the first lines in this new cut. Which, by the way, speaking of the new cut, the way it starts off, going from instead of an interview with Superman, it goes to the death of Superman.
Yeah,
that right there automatically re-solidified. Sets the tone and it re-solidifies that anything can happen in this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
There were points where I was like, "Ooh, that character that was bad." Like when the Flash, when he got attacked, I was like, surely they're not going to kill him off yet, right?
Yeah.
But the death of Superman being re-shown at the beginning, and that shockwave that's put off, resonating
that also
with the mother
explained
boxes.
Everything. Whereas the other one, they're like, oh, we don't know why those set off. They just randomly woke up.
But the very first scene with the Amazonians, when Steppenwolf comes out and he mentions feeding off of fear, and the Queen says, Amazons, show him your fear. And they scream out, "We have no fear." I was like, "Oh my god!" Got goosebumps. I just thinking about it.
The other Queen quote that was amazing though was when she said, "They said, well, maybe it went back to sleep," and she said, "Evil doesn't sleep. It waits." And I was like, "Yes."
So this movie, in case you didn't know, did a lot of good things to take away from what Joss Whedon ruined. And I say that with complete confidence.
Yeah.
He ruined the original cut of Justice League.
Yep. And I hate to say that, but yeah.
What Snyder did and what he envisioned all along was amazing. And I would back that man's movies to my death.
Like, watching the first one, I was like, yeah, this was pretty good. Watching this, I want a second one. I will watch Aquaman 2. I will watch more Batman ones.
Whole universe.
I will watch these now. Before, I was like, eh.
He didn't just name drop characters. He delivered characters.
Yes.
And said, here they are. Here's what they look like. Here's what they stand for. Now we'll let some other director move on and take that character and make their movie, or do this or do that. They cut out all of the what I would consider sexist scenes, like the motorboating Wonder Woman by the Flash, or Aquaman sitting on the lasso of truth. They cut out all of the crap.
Now I did find that funny.
No, it was definitely funny.
I know what you mean.
They cut that out, right?
Yeah.
And that was a throwaway laugh scene.
Yeah, definitely.
They cut that out and replaced it with a meaningful, setting the bar, stakes are high scene.
Yeah.
They're basically talking about what their plan is,
and how
it's going to come to fruition. And perfect. So glad they did that. Another thing they did was that I loved was the Flash scene where he is running and he gets shot.
And I like that he used the Speed Force to help heal
exactly. Himself. And when he mentions and he's like, I got to break my one rule.
Yeah.
Flash's one rule obviously is
don't mess with the timeline.
You don't mess with the timeline. You don't break the Speed Force. And he had to do that.
Yep.
And the fact that he was moving so fast that even the reversal of time could not keep up. Like you see every step he takes, the ground is reforming underneath him.
Yeah. So he was causing the ground to reform while moving. Like that blew my mind.
So amazing. And then with Cyborg, they added so much more to his story.
Yeah.
I love Cyborg anyway. But the character got so much more...
Well, apparently Snyder wanted that way. Exactly. He said he wanted the whole movie to be about Cyborg.
Yeah.
He wanted it to be a Cyborg movie.
And that's the thing you'll find with DC Comics and the mother boxes. Cyborg is a big part of that. Even when it comes to the anti-life equation, which they mentioned in this movie.
They did, yes.
When it comes to that and the whole deceased line, Cyborg is where that all starts.
Oh, okay.
It's a big story that involves him. The way that they built the characters, the way they, even as far back as just changing the way the film looks, like changing the red sky to a black sky to.
And I noticed that the whole movie, or at least a lot of the movie, I don't think all scenes, but I did notice that with this one, the color grading was way better. So everything was black. I don't know how many people noticed this. The whole movie was black and white, except for red and blue, which is Superman colors.
Exactly.
So if you look, pretty much the whole movie is black and white, except for red and blue. And that's why you still get all the skin colors and everything. And that's why everyone looks the same. But if you notice and you look closely, there's like no green. It's all red and blue mainly. I mean, you got the Green Lantern scenes where it's full color, but a lot of the times when it switches back to the real world, a lot of it is just red and blue.
So, mentioning the Green Lantern scenes, the first one we see an unnamed Green Lantern fighting alongside the Atlanteans and the Amazonians
And the gods.
And yes,
they added
saw,
Zeus and Artemis.
Athena and Zeus.
It was Zeus, Artemis,
Ares,
and
Artemis. There was a couple other ones on there as well, but they weren't specifically named. Like that.
Those three, because I saw a photo and they did name them Artemis, Ares, and Zeus, and I knew it was Artemis because she had her bow, and I was like, yes, it's Artemis, the huntress.
Also, the arrow that they used to signal Wonder Woman.
So it was an Artemis's arrow. Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
And so they also extended that scene and had Wonder Woman find that little underground tomb of sorts.
Which is how she learned about it.
Yes.
Whereas that wasn't in the original, they didn't tell.
Exactly. And that's the thing. They cut out so much character development and story development that it wasn't. It's a whole different movie at this point.
It really is. Yeah.
And I love that. But the Green Lantern scene specifically, when that Green Lantern dies and gets his hand cut off, right?
And the ring flies off.
Did you notice that the ring almost went to Darkseid?
Yep.
And as he's reaching for it, that's when it's basically cut off from him by, I believe, one of Artemis's arrows, if I remember correctly. Another scene involving the Green Lanterns is when both Cyborg and Batman have their like Doomsday nightmare scene.
Yes. Yeah.
In that scene, it shows the ruins of Wayne Manor, right?
Yep.
You see Thomas Wayne's photo on the wall. You see Aquaman's trident in the ground. You see Wonder Woman's shield. You also see Kilowog, one of the Green Lanterns, laying dead in the rubble.
Oh, okay. That's who that was.
Yeah. And so, or at least that's who it resembles.
Yeah.
It could be somebody else, but I am almost 100% sure it was Kilowog.
Yeah.
Which would make make for a pretty good little cameo there, even though he was dead. Go ahead.
Sorry, just made me think. Cameos, Martian Manhunter?
Yes. So that again was another scene that was always planned.
That blew me away. I was shooketh when that happened.
So I had a feeling that was what was happening. I had a feeling that he was pretending to be Superman's mother. You know. The other part of that is that he is revealed to be the same person who is in, I believe, Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, as a
general. Wasn't it?
I believe it's general.
I think he was a general.
Another thing is that there's a man who plays in the original cut. He was a security guard or something.
Yeah.
In the new cut, he was a police officer that's talking to Lois.
Yeah.
And
where she delivered the donut? Okay.
That man, if I'm not mistaken, was Jimmy Olsen from the old Superman. From back in the day.
That's actually pretty cool.
Also, when you see her walking up to a shop, directly behind her, you see Snyder himself.
In the movie?
In the movie.
That's funny. Nice. That's cool.
The Flash scene, when he rescues the woman in the car.
That was awesome.
That's Iris West.
And who's that?
His wife. She becomes his wife. That was a really cool scene. It kind of showed the beginning of him being a hero.
Yeah.
As opposed to him kind of cowering in the original cut.
Yeah, where he was like, well, I've never been in a fight. And he's like,
push people and run away.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a hero. You just saved somebody's life.
Yeah.
You know?
And I like this better, and I loved how he's like, so I start on Monday. He's like, I always bring a piece of meat because I never know when something's gonna go down here. That was great.
I noticed how he ran out of his shoes. That was a nice touch.
Yeah.
I loved the slow motion scene. It was very reminiscent of Quicksilver.
Yes, I agree.
The X-Men movies.
Which seems to be a standard for speed now. I feel like that set, besides the Matrix and the whole back, I think Quicksilver's scene has now set the feel.
It makes it that much more powerful, I feel like.
It does.
To see them slow down and seeing what they're doing.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like a quick blur and that's it.
Example, Wonder Woman. I didn't realize she could move that fast.
Oh, yeah.
To dodge all those bullets and block them. I didn't know she could do that.
I love that we're just bouncing from topic to topic.
Yeah,
and that each one is leading a stepping stone to the other. The Wonder Woman scene.
Which one? They were all
they were all great. The one where she comes in and saves the children at the bank.
Yes.
That scene, not a whole lot changed till the end of it.
Yep.
When the little girl, she goes to help her up, she's really scared.
And she even looks like Wonder Woman. I thought that was kind of cool.
She tells her, or she says, "Can I be like you when I grow up?" And obviously, Wonder Woman, she could have been like, no, I'm a god, you can't be like me.
Yeah.
But she goes, "You can be anything you want to be."
Yeah.
And I thought that was a super powerful line.
I like that too.
And I think that it personified Wonder Woman 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
It set up who she is and what she believes, and I thought that was just amazing.
And also, casting wise, she is by far the best person to ever play Wonder Woman. Yep. I mean, besides the classics. I mean,
Linda Carter was a legend in her own right.
That's what I was gonna say. But like, I feel like,
but I do feel like Gal Gadot has done a amazing job as Wonder Woman. Yeah. Honestly, all the characters. I think Henry Cavill is Superman, fantastic.
Yep. My favorite Superman, honestly.
Ezra Miller as the Flash.
He did pretty good. I felt like
I didn't like him in the original cut.
Yeah.
At all. Because of the fact that he just wasn't Barry Allen to me.
Yeah.
This new cut, I think, did a lot more to solidify him.
I think he needs a little bit more character growth as a person.
Well, and he will. He will. And he did already get a lot more
in
this cut.
I agree.
But I think he did a good job.
Did you feel like, I don't know.
I will always think that Grant Gustin is the best live action Flash, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Aside from John Wesley Shipp, who played the original in the 80s and then also plays Barry Allen's father on the new Flash show.
Yeah.
And the Golden Age Flash. I think that's, to me, that's always going to be the pinnacle. But I think he did a good job. Yeah. Even Batman. So, a lot of people hated him.
Yeah.
As Batman.
When I saw the suit,
people hated him because of Daredevil.
That's not why I hated him.
I didn't. Yeah. Just didn't think that he would do a good job. Because we've had Michael Keaton.
Yep.
We've had Christian Bale.
Yep.
We've had Adam West. We've had so
many different
Batmans, including my favorite Batman. And I know that he's only been a live action Batman in the TV show, like the crossovers with the Arrowverse.
Yep.
But Kevin Conroy will always be the best Batman, in my opinion.
Voice wise.
However, I like Affleck.
Okay, I gotta say my piece.
Go ahead and explain why you don't like him. I feel like that's coming.
Nope, it's not. Not after watching this. Okay, so when I first saw the scene and the cut and the first promo of him standing next to the Batmobile, I thought, this was my first thought. And nothing against Ben Affleck, but I thought this is a big name actor who doesn't care about Batman. That was my first thought. I thought he isn't going to try. I thought this is going to be another role. He's just doing it for the money. And that's what I thought. And then I don't like the suit because I hadn't seen Batman older before or built like that. Mm-hmm. And I thought this goes against all the other movies. I was like, I get it. It's in the comic, but it just looks trashy. I didn't like it. So I watched him in Batman vs. Superman and I thought, I liked him. And in Part of Wonder Woman, I liked him as Bruce Wayne. I didn't like him as Batman, but I thought he looked the part for Bruce Wayne. Okay, fast forward. Watched Justice League. I liked it the original one that got released. I was like, okay, I could kind of see him as Batman. Not too bad. He's fair. Still really like him as Bruce Wayne, almost more than I liked Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne, because Christian Bale gave off a good Bruce Wayne, but this Ben Affleck gives off the I'm rich Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Do you get me? That snide Bruce Wayne look that he is fake, because he's faking being that way. But he gives off, I feel like that vibe that Bruce Wayne should get off, that I'm superior because I'm rich Bruce Wayne vibe. Whereas I felt like Christian Bale couldn't quite capture that.
Right.
But then when I watched him in Justice League, I didn't only like him as Bruce Wayne, I thought he did amazing as Batman. And so honestly, he went from being someone that I thought couldn't play the role and wouldn't care about the role to being, honestly, like, I want more Batman movies as him as being Batman.
Right. And I can agree with that, because originally when I heard, I was like, really? Seriously? I mean, he was Daredevil and he did terrible. That, again, has nothing to do with this being Batman.
No.
I think he did a really good job. He reminds me of the Batman from the Dark Knight Returns comics. He's older, he's more grizzled, he's larger.
Yeah, probably in his 40s,
which
right?
I think is cool because a bigger Batman means that it'd be more likely that I could do a cosplay one day. Yeah. No, but
and I like that. I like that this was set 20 years after him being Batman. So he's been through. We won't get to the Robins yet, but he's been through all that stuff.
Now that being said, there is the nightmare scene.
Yeah.
Did you know that when it shows the scene where Superman is on his knees holding the charred remains of Lois?
Yeah.
Did you know that he's in the Batcave?
No.
If you look over the right side of the screen, you can see the Robin
suit.
What?
I missed that.
Yeah.
Now I gotta go watch that.
So one other scene I'd like to touch upon, and it coincides with the reason why we had the Joss Whedon cut in the first place. If anyone doesn't know, Zack Snyder's daughter had passed away due to suicide. While the movie was being developed. He needed to take some time off of that. His wife, who was also, I believe, the producer, obviously needed to take some time for that as well. That's a very important thing. Yeah, that's why the other cut happened in the first place. Now, the scene where Batman or Bruce Wayne goes to pick up the Flash.
Yeah.
They pull up to the edge of that street, okay? And he takes off and hits that exit, right?
Yeah.
Above that exit, up on the wall, there's a billboard for a suicide prevention hotline.
Oh, wow.
And when I saw that, I actually kind of teared up a little bit because
I didn't know that.
It was something that was just put in there for that reason.
Yeah.
And I thought that was awesome. I thought that was amazing because it's a subject that a lot of people don't really think about. And you don't expect it to be an issue when it comes to a movie about superheroes or things like that. But somebody out there is going to watch this and they're going to see that and it's going to save somebody's life.
You know what else it reminded me of? Think of the last scene where Joker was razzing Batman and said that he didn't have the balls to kill himself.
So we're going to touch on that as well. He didn't say necessarily to kill yourself. He said that he doesn't have the balls to die, basically.
Oh, okay. So I kind of took it wrong then, I guess.
So moving on to that scene, I thought.
Yeah, I didn't mean to jump forward.
Oh no!
I thought that was kind of.
We pretty much touched on everything else about the actual movie. That particular scene, when you see what happened to Wonder Woman,
yeah,
and she's laying there on the pyre. And then you see the scene with Aquaman having been impaled by his own trident at the hands of Darkseid.
Yeah.
And then he uses the Omega beams to kill a couple other Atlanteans. It's a very powerful scene. And it, again, even though it's not technically a part of the movie, like it's not actually come to fruition yet. It's a distant future.
Yeah.
It still adds those stakes that anyone can die. And aside from Superman himself, you just took the two most powerful characters, Aquaman and Wonder Woman,
off the table.
Not only that, they are also themselves basically gods in a way, or at least half gods. And you're left with Batman, which is Batman. And 90% of the time when you see a comic storyline, Batman he's there. He's always there.
Yeah.
He's always the one that comes up with the answers.
Yep. He always has that backup plan.
You had the Flash in that like Mad Max inspired armor.
Yeah, which I liked.
And then you had Cyborg. And these are three characters that they're not the strongest. They're not, Batman is the smartest.
Right.
Cyborg, at this point, a lot of storylines end up with Cyborg feeling guilty, like he feels like something's his fault.
Which I can see that already with the character development. He's very grief-stricken and is very hard on himself.
Yeah. And then you have the Flash, who has never really felt like a hero. He's a man who's just really fast. And that's, he wasn't fast enough to save his mom. He wasn't good enough to save his dad from going to jail for it.
Yeah.
So to him, to these characters, it's a really bad situation.
Right.
And then you add in the fact that they had Deathstroke with them.
Yeah, which that threw me too. I didn't expect Deathstroke.
Deathstroke actually teams up with the good guys a lot. And it's because Deathstroke is not necessarily a bad guy.
Yeah.
He's a mercenary.
Yeah.
He does what he's paid to do or what suits his needs the most.
Right.
If somebody is threatening to end the entire world, he's going to side with whoever it takes
to stop that.
To make sure that his world doesn't end.
Yeah.
He has no care what happens to Batman or Flash or Cyborg or anybody else. He's in it for himself. But that doesn't make him a bad guy. That just makes him
an opportunist.
Exactly. And so, you see the characters that are with them and how they had like Mara with them.
Yeah.
With Aquaman's trident.
Yep.
You had Deathstroke, and then of course the Joker. Now, it's never really touched upon exactly why the Joker's with them that I know of, but I have a good idea. And if you've ever read or even played the video games Injustice, you'll know that more than likely the Joker had something to do with it. In those particular comics and the video games, a pregnant Lois Lane is basically killed by Superman because the Joker does something to trick him into it.
Like gasses him or something to that effect.
By extension, he now blames Batman for what happened because the Batman didn't kill the Joker.
Yep.
He had multiple opportunities and he never did.
Which he did bring up the whole killing him and everything in this.
I've never been a fan of Jared Leto's Joker at all. But I liked him in this scene.
Yeah.
Now, it's one scene. Who can really say how well that would be? But this one scene in particular, he does really good. And there's a few points where the way he says something, he reminds me of Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
A couple of things that he says, a couple of sentences.
Now, I feel like if his Joker is done right, I just lost his name. What's his name?
Jared Leto.
Now, I feel like if his character is done right and the script is done good, he's a really good actor. Mm-hmm. Jared Leto is. I think they just need to give him the opportunity to be a good Joker.
Right. So this particular version of the Joker I like better than the whole mob boss style Joker that we got in Suicide Squad.
Yeah. That was just over the top.
The little exchange between him and Batman, where he basically says, they're talking about all the people they've lost, and he says, Batman knows a thing or two about losing people. Mm-hmm. All right, that's rough. That's bad enough. He lost his mom and dad. But then you extend that to the point that when he makes the comment, why did you send a boy wonder to do a man's job? And if you know anything about Batman, even though he's a hard ass sometimes, he cares about his family.
Yep.
And those kids are his family.
Yep.
He trained them, and some people think it's a bad thing, some people think it's a good thing that he trained kids. But ultimately, it is good because he got them away from other things they could have been doing.
Yeah.
But he's not perfect by any means, and he knows that.
Yeah.
And Batman, he feels the guilt, and you know he does.
Especially when he lost the Robin to the Joker.
Yeah. And when the Joker's like, here's this card, here's a truce between us. If you want to know what I did to Robin, then tear that card up. Now that card, if you go back a little bit to the rubble scene we talked about with Wayne Manor, that card is flying through, ripped in half at that point. Now, I don't know, at what point in the timeline both scenes take place.
Yeah.
But, and then Batman brings up the comment, as I held Harley Quinn when she died, she told me that when I kill you to do it slow and painful.
Yeah. Batman even cussed.
And then he says, when I kill you, and I will kill you, he says that with so much conviction.
Yeah.
And you see the Joker visibly get upset about it.
Yeah, definitely. That was another shocker for me that Batman went there. Yeah,
and I mean Batman in some comic lines has had to go to some very dark places.
And if you think about it, he's at a dark place there. I mean, the world's pretty much over, and he's just done.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, it's debatable on one particular one where I believe it's the Killing Joke when he shoots Batgirl, paralyzes her.
Yep, the Joker does.
Batman basically has to decide, what to do at that point. And the comic ends with him putting his hand on the Joker after the Joker has told him a joke. And it's a dark scene, you can't see nothing but shadows. They're both laughing. And then you hear that the Joker, you hear like a crack and the Joker slumps to the ground. Some people say that Batman snapped his neck. Some people say that the Joker did something else. Depends on what your thought is on it. But that's a comic where he has to go to a dark place, one way or the other. And
it's him breaking his one rule.
That's the Joker's thing, is he wants to prove to Batman that
he's no better.
He's no better than him, and that he's just one day away from snapping.
Yep. That's Joker's whole thing, I think.
And in this particular scene, he makes that abundantly clear that he's at that point. He's at that breaking point where he's got nothing else to lose and everything to gain, and so it's a very, very powerful scene.
Yeah. I thought it was played well, too. I thought
yeah.
Definitely had the power behind it.
And then when Superman shows up and you see the red eyes, I was like, oh, shit. And then he wakes up in his home and he's greeted by the Martian Manhunter. Yeah. First meeting of that. And I thought that was really cool setup.
Yep.
It makes way for so many different things to happen.
Yep.
So you had the culmination of this where Darkseid is basically standing there with Desaad. It was Desaad and Granny Goodness that were on either side of him.
Oh, okay.
He crushes Steppenwolf's head, and they're visibly staring at the Justice League. That's obviously setting up for a very Thanos-like, and some would say that Darkseid is DC's version of Thanos.
Which is kind of that's how I described it to my parents, because that was the best way I could describe it to them.
So it sets up for a future storyline between them.
Yeah.
They set up the Legion of Doom with Lex Luthor and Deathstroke.
Yeah.
They set up the post-apocalyptic Injustice style storyline.
Yeah.
And then they set up a furthering of the Justice League itself with the extension of the Martian Manhunter and other beings like him.
Yeah, and they were even setting up the table, and as you heard, Batman said, room for more.
Room for more. That right there establishes they could have more. And I would love to see a Justice League Unlimited style movie with, every member of the Justice League that's ever been.
I think that'd be later on. I think you'd have to work into that.
But the point is you would work up to it. And you never have to have the same characters in it at the same time.
Yeah.
They could all be doing something different. And so that creates the ability to have new stories, kind of like the Avengers did.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Green Lantern, and I would like it to be either Hal Jordan or what was the other one? The black one.
Jon Stewart.
Yeah, I'd like it to either be Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart. And really, I'd like either. I actually prefer Jon Stewart.
And the thing with Hal, if they bring in Hal, they've got to have the Green Arrow as well. Because in the comics, they're really good friends. And they even had their own comic line together.
That'd be
Green
pretty
Arrow
cool.
and the Green Lantern.
Wonder if they could do a spin-off movie with that. Kind of like how they do on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
See, that would be so much fun to do something like that. And there's certain characters, obviously, that you have got to have if you're going to do certain storylines.
Yeah. I'd like to see him, and I'd also like to see what is it, Hawkman, or what's his?
There's Hawkman, Hawkwoman,
and Hawkwoman
or Hawkgirl.
Hawkgirl. Yeah, I'd like to see them too because I think they're very interesting characters that I think would be really cool.
So they could do the storyline similar to what Legends of Tomorrow did with them, and do the whole ancient Egypt storyline where they're reborn.
Yeah,
and they always every time they have to fight each other.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Cool thing. But there's so many possibilities they could do, and this movie set up for so many different storylines.
Now they just got to run with it if they will.
And then even the Joker himself set up for the multiverse when he said, "How many other alternate timelines exist where you shit up?
Yep.
Where you refuse to die and let somebody else take the fall."
Yep. And he was referring to the Flash, I think, with Batman.
So in that particular thing, he's talking about obviously the Robin.
Yeah.
He's talking about the Flashpoint paradox. He's talking about. He could be talking about anything. You know, any storyline could lead from that.
Yeah.
And I just think that it was a really good setup. And then moving on to the credits, obviously you get past the other scenes and stuff, and it starts with that line "For Autumn" for his daughter.
Yeah.
The song that was played. All of it was really good. The movie itself was amazing. If his daughter was around, I think she would have loved it.
Oh, yeah. I think so, too.
I'm so grateful that they allowed him to do it.
Me, too, yeah.
And that he did it, and that
everyone came back to finish it up, vision. Too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I thought that was really good.
Now, there were scenes that they had to do face-overs. Like,
really?
I don't know what they actually call that. But specifically one where they're getting on the flying fox, as they called it. And Cyborg says, "You want her to fly." Or she wanted to fly, or it wanted to fly, or something like that. And then Batman said, "So did you." Or "So do you." Yeah. That scene was one of those scenes where it was a face-over. Like it was... Oh, okay. And there's a few scenes that happens in.
Why was that, though?
So there's certain things that they didn't do complete reshoots for. Oh. And instead of reshooting, because that's a lot of CGI for that ship. Yeah. That's a lot of different things added up. And so certain scenes, if it didn't require a complete makeover of the scene, reshoot, then they didn't reshoot it. Okay. So anything where they're just standing around may not have necessarily needed to be a reshoot. A couple things they cut out that I was glad they cut out again was the scene with Aquaman, where he first meets him and he takes his drink, puts his glass down, and there's, for whatever reason, they put the green goo from the bug, the little alien dudes. They put the blood on his glass for some reason. Yeah. In the original cut, it didn't make sense. Likewise with the first introduction of Batman on there, when he fights one of them, and the mother boxes are splattered on the wall in its blood. Yeah, didn't make sense. So the rehashing of that at the very beginning, where they explain the mother boxes, and Superman's scream, and all that stuff, it was just so amazing.
I also like that they cut out the part where Batman was an asshole, which Batman can be an asshole, but I'm glad that they cut that out. Like, I get that he was trying to get Wonder Woman to lead the group, but it was just an okay scene that I was glad they cut out.
So overall, man, I was just super excited that they did it, and I'm so glad that it turned out the way that it did. Yep,
I agree. I'm excited for the DC universe now.
Yeah, me
too. I never have been, honestly.
I always have been.
I've just felt always let down with it. Oh yeah, I love DC, but I've been let down by the movies. The only one I liked was, well, besides the Christopher Nolan Batmans, I liked those, but I liked Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman blew me out of the water.
Aquaman was good too. I
haven't watched Aquaman still. I know, I'm bad. I haven't watched Aquaman.
This man's a fake fan.
I'm all caught up, but Aquaman. Well, it took me 3 years to watch Justice League because of how bad I heard it was. I just now watched it like 3 days ago. I didn't watch it because everybody ripped on it, so I was like, well, I don't want to watch it if it sucks. And now that I've seen the original, I know why people said that, or not the original, but the better one.
But yeah, you got anything else you'd like to add?
I think that was it. The one other thing that I thought was absolutely amazing when he introduces Alfred to everyone. He's like, "Oh, this is Alfred. I work for him."
Yeah,
perfect.
And one other thing with as far as Alfred goes is when he calls Superman Master Kent.
Yeah,
and he kind of gives him a look like,
"How'd you know?"
Like he just kind of to me, I took it as more of like Superman feeling that was a comment that was not necessary.
Yeah.
Like
I can see that. Because
Superman's a very human character for an alien. Yeah. And he's always been about that. Like he never understood why, Bruce was master.
Yeah.
Why he was master. And so seeing him kind of give a weird look like it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
That gave off really good Superman vibes for me. So
yeah, I agree.
Overall, 10 out of 10 for me.
Yep. I'm at 9 or 10. I'm really on the cusp because I just remember being blown away by Avengers, and this one I was like, man, that was good, but I wasn't freaking out about it.
Like I said, Avengers until Endgame came out, I was never like, oh man, anything could happen.
Right.
They might kill off this guy or they might kill off that guy. Even Infinity War, I was like, oh, okay, they'll be back. They'll be back. And that's the thing about Marvel, especially now that they're owned by Disney.
Right.
You're never going to get that same level of realism that you get from DC. And I've always been a fan more of DC Comics than Marvel Comics, just because for that reason as well. The storylines are always more dark and realistic to me, I guess. I don't know.
I got that.
So yeah, I've always been, Marvel or DC over Marvel. I like them both. I love them both.
Right. I
have characters that I love from both of them, but DC's always going to have a special place in my heart.
I feel you. Yeah, but overall, I liked it. I think it was great. Like I said, I'm excited for more.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, we'd like to know in the comments what you guys think. If you got any better, any other opinions, or if you noticed something in the movie that we didn't,
didn't bring up,
let us know in the comments, and let us know which one you like more, the original cut or the new cut.
Yep. And if you
also, which do you like more, Marvel, DC? Don't necessarily want any arguing. Just kind of give us your opinion.
A little heads up here.
But
and if you liked our review, is there other superhero or fan type movies that you'd like us to review that we could watch, check out, and give you a review on? Might not be as long as this one, but we did have a 4-hour long movie to review.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll try to cut it down as quick as possible. Yeah. But we hope you guys enjoyed this, and until next time.